Boker Tov, good morning. I want to thank our sponsors for the Emunah Shir this morning. Doctors Ilan and Juliana Rosenblatt, who are sponsoring for a complete and speedy refuah shlema of their dear friend Adina Leah Bas Shoshana Tzipora. Should have a speedy and painless and full recovery. And also want to thank last week's sponsors who I didn't have that information, so I apologize. But Sarah Katuna in honor of the birth of her granddaughter, Naomi Miriam Bas Sarah, and Sharon Schuster in honor of the birth of her grandson, Gavriel Aaron Ben Batsheva Yehudis. Okay, we're learning together a piece now from the Nesiva Shalom, the Slonim Rebbe, and he's talking about Elul. This appears within his section that he's talking about Elul, but I don't like to in this shir do anything that's particular to a parsha or a yontif, so that people can listen whenever they listen. It's not. It's always relevant throughout the year, and the principles, the ideas, the themes that we're going to talk about are themes that are relevant, of course, all the time. And so he begins the following: Vanis filasi lecha Hashem eis ratzon. Elokim barav chazdecha aneni be'emes yishecha. It's a pasuk familiar to us. We take the Torah out at Mincha, we recite this pasuk. Va'anis tfilasi. David HaMelech says, I am tfilasi. Va'anis tfilasi. I am my tefillah. I am my prayer. L'cha Hashem eis ratzon, Elokim barav chazdecha, and so on. Please help yourselves to coffee, by the way. Tzarach bir, lama b'tchila ksiv l'cha Hashem b'shem havaya. At the beginning, David HaMelech starts and he says, L'cha Hashem eis ratzon. For you, Hashem, this is an auspicious time. Hashem, using the name of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, Shu Shem Rachamim. That name, Hashem has multiple names. You know, just like everyone has multiple names. I have my kids' names, so take my daughter Esti. Her real name is Chaya Esther. So we call her Esti, that's her nickname. She's never done a bad thing in her life, but if she ever did, one might say, Chaya Esther Goldberg. How could you do that? So, we have different names. Yeah, Esti, Chaya Esther. We have different names. Different names reflect different components, different relationships, different attitudes. And the same is true, Kaviyachol, with Hashem Yisbarach. Shem Havaya, Yud Kei Vav Kei, represents Shem Rachamim. It's Hashem's compassion. V'achar kach ksiv Elokim, Shu Shem Din. So the pasuk begins, L'cha Hashem eis ratzon, using Shem Havaya Yud Kei Vav Kei, and then it says eis ratzon Elokim barav chazdecha. So which is it? Are we identifying with God as Yud Kei Vav Kei, as Hashem? Are we identifying with Him as Elokim? Elokim is Midas Adin. Why? Because the name Elokim reflects God as a judge, strict justice. In fact, one of the names, we use the exact same term. The Chumash uses the same term. Elohim is a judge. A human judge is an Elohim. So when we call God Elokim, we are relating to that component of God, which is strict justice. As opposed to when we use the name of Hashem Yud Kei Vav Kei, we're relating to that component of Hashem who identifies with us as Rachamim. So why the shift in the language? Vanis vilasi, l'cha Hashem eis ratzon, and then Elokim. Why do we go from Hashem to Elokim? Va'inyan. Says the Slonim Rebbe, Dinei Inyan Elul hu ani l'dodi v'dodi li. The acronym Elul, which if you haven't gotten the memo, Rosh Chodesh Elul is in a couple of days from now, is this Shabbos. It is almost impossible to believe we are at Rosh Chodesh Elul. So the word Elul, which is the name of the month, we try to identify different themes within the month by describing it as an acronym, Rashi Tevos. So the most popular, the most famous among them is Anila Dodi V'Dodi Li, from Shir Hashirim, I am to my beloved is to me. Less popular is Ish L'Re'eu U'Matanos Le'Evyonim, which is a theme we talk about in Purim. It's from the Megillah, but it also reflects that Elul's a time not only that I talk about my relationship with Hashem, Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li, but it's also my relationship with fellow men, Ish L'Re'eu U'Matanos Le'Evyonim, caring about our fellow man, connecting with our fellow people, experiencing a sense of unity. There's a third dimension, by the way. We live simultaneously in the dimension of Ben Adam L'Makom. We're focused on our relationship between us and God. Ben Adam L'Chavera, we're focused on our relationship with other people. And what's the third relationship in our lives? Ben Adam Le'atzmo. Between a person and themselves, the Maharal. I think I've shared this here before. Maharal talks about the theme of three. When you learn Pirkei Avos and you go through the theme of three, you'll always find the three corresponds with Bein Adam L'Chavero, Bein Adam L'Makam, and Bein Adam L'Atzmo. So when it says the world exists on three things remove you from the world. Three things, every time you see the theme of the number three in Pirkei Avos, which you see all the time, the three correspond with, now you have to go back and plug it in. You take the three things. Which one is Ben Adon Lamakam, Ben Adon Lachavera, Ben Adon La'atzmo? So here we have acronyms for Elul that reflect all three. Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li is my relationship with Hashem. I am to my beloved is to me. Romantic, loving, longing, yearning. Also, Ish L'Re'eu Matanos L'Avyonim represents interpersonal. And then you also have a third one. Reb Melech Biederman brings down. The third one is an acronym. It's in the Yiddish. The letters are out of order, but they are Lebedik und weiter Lebedik. Elul is a time not to be sad and somber and down and depressed, but Lebedik, you should be besimcha. The gematria of Elul is, it's off one, but in the world of gematria, apparently you're allowed to be off one. The gematria of Elul is Chaim. Elul is a time that you come to life. There are people, I just submitted an article that Mishpach is publishing about this, that there are people, we say, Zachrenu l'chaim, melech havetz b'chaim. This whole period of the year is characterized by the ambition, the aspiration for life. Now, what kind of life are we longing for? To have a pulse? Is that the life that we're longing for? The Maggid of Mezrich, others say no. Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to determine if we live or die. Zachrenu l'chaim, melech havetz b'chaim. This emphasis on chaim, on life, is that not just that I have a pulse, not just that I'm breathing, not just that my heart is beating, but that my attitude, my mentality, my mental health, my spiritual health, that I'm experiencing being alive. There are people who are walking around dead even while they are alive. When you're negative, when you're hopeless, when you're despondent, when you're pessimistic, when you're bitter, when you're resentful, when you're angry, when you're fatalistic, there are people walking around dead even while they are yet alive. So we say, Hashem, Zachrenu l'chaim. Let me have life, simchas hachayim, a zest for life, and the will to live, and the joy for life, and the ambition of life. Let me be alive while I'm alive. Hashem is the one who's machayim mesim. We say a bracha, the Shemona Esrei, every day. We talk about Neman atal achayos mesim. Kadosh Baruch Hu, you bring the dead back to life. So we're talking about certainly the world to come. It's one of the principles of our faith, the belief in Tchias HaMesim, that Hashem will bring the dead back to life. But we're also talking about Hashem's capacity to bring us back to life even while we're alive. We went through a difficult episode. We went through a hard time. We felt down and depressed. We were dead even while we were alive. Hashem, you are the Mechayeh Mesim. Bring me back to life. Give me the will to live. Show me there's a reason to wake up. Now I can put one foot in front of the other. Give me optimism, not pessimism. Make me hopeful, not hopeless. Give me joy, not a sense of depression. Lebedik und weiter lebedik. Elul. It's a time, people think in Elul, there's all the stories of the Gedolim that they would just hear Rosh Chodesh Elul, Yeh B'yom, and they would pass out. Right? They say it about the Chavetz Chaim, they say it all about the Gedolei Yisrael. They would just hear the word Elul, and they would pass out. They'd have to be revived. Okay? That's one tradition. But there's another tradition. It's a beautiful tradition. We have the opposite. Elul, oh God, Rosh Hashanah, Kippur, seating, meals, brisket, shofar. That's the opposite tradition. That's wrong. That's wrong. It's a beautiful tradition that a person feels the intensity of Elul to the point that they pass out. But one shouldn't think that Elul is a time to walk around dead. The opposite. Lebedik and weiter lebedik. You got to be alive. You got to be excited. You got to be vibrant. Elul is gematria Chaim. It's Tchias HaMesim. We experience a Tchias HaMesim in Elul. The whole year you walking around dead even while you were alive. You were coasting. You were sleepwalking through life. It's time to come alive. It's time to come alive. So Elul, the acronym Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li, corresponds with Bein Adam Makom, between me and God. Ish L'Re'eu Matanos L'Avyonim, between me and man. Lebedik and weiter lebedik, which is the most recent tradition of the acronyms for Elul. But Bein Adam La'atzmo, that's the relationship between me and myself. That as we go into Elul, as we're going to get ready for Rosh Chodesh Elul, the Shabbos, it's time to come alive. It's time to come out of the sleep mode and to bring back to life. So it says the Slonim Rebbe, Perish Ani L'Dodi. What does it mean, Ani L'Dodi? We all know this. Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li. What does it mean, Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li? Shemevatal Atzmo Umoser Kosov L'Dodi. Shezu Tachlis Avoda Shel Chodesh Elul Chodesh HaRachamim. Shenasan HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yehudi L'Hachen Atzmo L'Rosh Hashanah V'Yom HaKippurim. Think about these words. Ani L'Dodi. What does Ani mean? I. But it's more than just I. Ani is my ego, my sense of self, my id. It's my identity. The Ani is who I am. And in that statement, Ani L'Dodi, what we're saying, Elul is a time where Ani is L'Dodi. I am mevatel. I nullify my sense of self to Hashem. Who I am, is an individual dedicated and devoted to the service of the Almighty, of the Ribono Shel Olam. The Ani within me, my sense of self, my ego, my id, Ani is lidodi. I am to you. I say at many weddings that I do. I did a wedding last week. I'm doing a wedding next week. Baruch Hashem, we should all have so many simchas. So I say, I don't know where I got this from. I'm not sure. Maybe I made it up. I don't even know. But I say, the Kala walks around the Chassan 7 times. Why does the Kala walk around 7 times? Different reasons are brought down. One, Klal Yisrael, we walked around Yericho 7 times. The walls came crumbling down. Whatever walls exist between the Chassan and Kala, Mazel Tov Greta, Big Simcha, Baruch Hashem, whatever walls that exist between the Chassan and Kala, the walls should come crumbling down. But I don't remember where I heard this or saw this or made this up. I thought about it in a dream. I have no idea. But I say always at these weddings, I say the Kala, my dearest Kala, you just walked around the Chassan 7 times. You drew a circle around the Chassan and you placed him at the center of your life. And the Chassan now takes a ring, it's a circle, and he puts it on the finger of the Kala, and he places the Kala at the center of his life. Now you have a happy marriage, now you have beautiful, sustained love, real, authentic love, sustained love. The deepest, most meaningful love is not when you put yourself at the center of your life, it's when you draw a circle and you put the other at the center of your life. You put their needs ahead of your own, and so on and so forth, right? The very beautiful imagery of the circle and putting the other at the center of the circle. That's Ani L'Dodi. Hashem, my life is a circle. And there's all kinds of points on my circle. There's my going to the gym, there's my being home, there's I like to eat, there's I like to sleep, there's I learn, there's I go to work, there's so many points on my circle. What's in the middle of my circle? Where do the spokes of the wheel all go back to? Is at the center of the circle me, my ego, my name, my honor, my appetite, my desire, my want? Or the Ani, my life, the points on my circle are Lidodi. Hashem, you're the center of my circle. We talked about this on Shavuos. I gave a drasha, Ve'irastich li, that the beautiful words of the Navi, that we marry Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu held the mountain over our head like a chuppah, and Ve'irastich li li'olam, Erisin, we're married to Hashem. It's the most beautiful imagery of the wedding. And that's what we're supposed to feel in Elul, is if Tisha B'Av we were sitting on the floor feeling estranged from Hashem, a broken relationship, the opportunities lost, the potential unrealized, then this is the exact inverse. Now we're heading into Elul, we come alive, it's Tchias HaMesim, it's Lebedik. And what's the alive? There's no one more alive than when they're dating, when they're courting, when they're falling in love, when they're getting ready to bring their lives together. Why? They're walking on cloud 9, they're walking on air. They just want to be together all the time and hear from each other all the time, and they're just longing, and they're just counting down, and there's romance, and there's vibrancy, and there's electricity. The truth is there's nothing. They barely know each other. They think they have all of that. You don't really have all of that till after you get married, but they think they have all of that. And they'll learn that they have all of that much later. Right then was really lust, not love. Love comes afterwards. We learn that from Yitzchak. Pasuk says with Yitzchak, that he brings Rivka, Allah, into the tent, Vaye'ahaveha, and then he loves her. And the Meforshim point out, what do you mean? Don't you have to, the Western notion is, you got to fall in love before you bring her into the tent. First you have to have love, then comes marriage. Yeah. What do you mean first comes marriage, then comes love? This isn't the Shalom Bayis here, but first comes love, first comes marriage, then comes love, because love is to know one another. You don't even begin to know one another. Love is experiencing life's hardships and challenges, joys and triumphs, and through those experiences you feel more connected. I'm only sharing all of this because Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li. The theme of Elul, at least this theme, Bein Adam L'Makom, our relationship with Hashem is, if I felt estranged on Tisha B'Av, now I'm not estranged, I'm madly in love. I can't take my mind off of you. I'm driving, and I got a speeding ticket because I wasn't paying attention because all I was thinking about was you. My mind is wandering. I'm in class. I have to study for a final, and my mind is wandering because of you. Love is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribono Shel Olam. Elul, Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li. I'm supposed to be at work. I'm on the treadmill. I'm shopping in the supermarket, but Ani L'Dodi, all I could think about is you. I'm in love. I feel your love. I feel your presence. I can't wait to talk to you next with davening. I can't wait to feel your connection more. Ani, my whole sense of ego, my sense of self, my Ani is L'Dodi. I am submitting it. I am forfeiting is a negative connotation, but I am nullifying it. I am giving it. I'm devoting it to you. so that you want milchiks and I want fleishiks for dinner, I'm devoted to you. Nebuch Rahman al-Islam, we're going to have milchiks, because you're the center of my circle. I think that we should go here on vacation, you want to go there. I think that we should do this, you want to do that. You're the center of my circle. But guess what? You're also doing the same thing. You're saying, let's do fleishiks, because you're the center of my circle. And when two parties are each saying the other is the center of their circle, you have two happy parties. Ani l'dodi v'dodi li, mevatel atzmo. So it's not just ani l'dodi, it's ani, my sense of ani. My ani is lidodi. I am devoting, I am dedicating who I am, what my desires. Mevatel ratzoncha mipnei ratzono. Kamashakasav kedushas Levi. The Heilige B'ditchever says, Yadua sheyom HaKippurim eino machaper ad shevatel atzmo v'kol kochosa v'chol asher yesh lo Hashem yizbarach. Yom Kippur is machaper. Yom Kippur is an unbelievable day. Yom Kippur comes along and it atones for the mistakes we've made. So you know what? It's like your anniversary. You know? It's true, you had moments of estrangement during the year, you neglected one another, you made mistakes, you had fights, you had whatever, tension, friction, conflict. But if you do the anniversary right, all is forgiven, you're back in love, it's renewed vows, and it's a chance to start again. So Yom Kippur is our anniversary with the Ribono Shel Olam, and whatever mistakes, shortcomings, failures, friction, tension we had during the year, it is a new opportunity. But says the B'ditchever, when is that true? Gemara says, Itzumo sheyom mechaper. Yom Kippur, when the date arrives in the calendar, it's enough. The anniversary with the nostalgia and the fresh start in its beginning is enough. But when is Yom Kippur mechaper, says the B'ditchever, the Kedushas Levi? He says, when your mevatel is atzmo. If I come to the anniversary and I say, you know what, I was selfish this year. Every time we had a fight, it's because I put my ego ahead of you. Because I put my ego. Every time we had a fight, it's because I got angry. I was impatient. I put my needs ahead of yours. But you know what? I'm mevatel my ani. Ani lidodi. I am nullifying my sense of self. I'm once again putting the ring on your finger and putting you at the center of the circle of my life again. I've reminded myself. So the B'ditchever says that's what Yom Kippur, that's what this period of the year is about. Shemrak osa tshuva greda adayin ein ze klum. So if you do tshuva, it's not enough. So in other words, if I come to my wife and I say, look, this incident, that incident, and the other incident, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry, and I'm sorry. She says, okay, I forgive you. But you know what? You haven't restored the relationship to where it was. All you did was ask forgiveness for the particular incident. But if more than just ask forgiveness for the particular incident, you come in the meta, you come in the more broad sense, and you say, I'm not just asking forgiveness for the particular incident, I'm saying, ani, my sense of self, I'm nullifying to you. I'm devoted to you. I'm re-devoting and I'm rededicating. So the B'ditchever says that's what we do with the Ribono Shel Olam. It's not that Hashem, I once forgot to make a bracha, and Hashem, I once didn't say Asher Yatzer properly, and Hashem, I once slept late and I didn't daven on time. And Hashem, I once ate something or looked at something or did something. So forgive me, I'm sorry. We're good? You're good? We're good? We're good. We're good does not return a romantic, loving, intimate relationship. Do you forgive me does not bring back the romance. What brings back the romance is that recommitment and redevotion to, I want to get back to a place where you are the center of my circle, where you are all that I could think of. When a couple is falling in love, when they're in the courtship, when they are first choosing to dedicate their lives to one another, they are prepared to put the other ahead of themselves, because that's where they are. And that's what we are returning to with Hashem. Ani lidodi, I'm nullifying my ani, it is to you. So when we do that, the dodi li, Hashem is devoted to us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu misnayigim Yehudi mida keneged mida. He relates to us exactly the way we relate to Him. So when I say to my wife, when a woman says to a man, I nullify myself to you, you are the center of my circle. So if he's a normal, decent human being, he's not going to say, oh, that's great. So for me, I'm the center of my circle, and for you, I'm the center of your circle. That's fantastic, right? Such a person is not. There's problems, there's challenges there. That needs to be worked out. That needs some therapy for himself and for the relationship to have a future. Hopefully, mida keneged mida. Hopefully, there's reciprocity. So you say, you're the center of my circle. You're the center of my universe. Your happiness comes even before my own. Your joy, your success, nothing gives me greater joy or pride. You're the center of my circle. And hopefully the other person says, oh, that's so sweet. You're the center of my circle. And you are all that I care about, your happiness, your joy, your pride. Hopefully there's reciprocity. That's the secret to successful marriage. And the same is true. Our relationship with Hashem is a loving, longing, intimate marriage. So ani lidodi. Hashem, I'm giving you my ani. You're the center of my circle. And you know what Hashem says? Oh, that's so sweet. Mida keneged mida. Well, guess what? You're all that matters to me, Hashem says. I love you. I'm devoted to you. I want you to be happy. He doesn't just then forgive us. It's not just that you're off the hook for whatever punishment you were facing, but so much more than that. When there is that love and that devotion and being mevatel the ani, then Hashem turns in v'dodi li. So within anila dodi, sometimes there's a particular mistake that we've made, and we need to atone, we need to correct the particular mistake. Sheshav, that you return v'omer and you say, Anna Hashem chatasi avisi pashati v'asisi kach b'kach. V'yesh tshuva klalis al kol metzias chayim. So there's the particular tshuva, and then there's the general tshuva. I can go to my wife and say, I know you're angry at me. Yesterday I sent that text. It wasn't really nice of me. It wasn't sensitive. I'm sorry I said it that way. Please forgive me. That's one conversation. But then there's a broader conversation that says, I don't know if I've told you how in love I am with you, and I haven't really been the husband I want to be, and I need to be, and I'm now devoted to put you at the center of my circle. There's the particular, and then there's the broad, there's the general. And the same is true during this time of the year in our relationship with Hashem. We're focused on the particular. I made a mistake, how do I correct it, how do I repair it, how do I atone to it? But I also have the general relationship, and we take an assessment. This is the time of year, one year I spoke about, and I even offered, though very few took me up on it, that we go once a year, we're supposed to, for a physical. You go for a physical, usually around your birthday. You go for a physical, do some blood work, you take some tests, the doctor reviews everything, and the doctor says, okay, here's what you got to work on, here's what's going well, here's where you're the perfect specimen of health, here's where your health is in crisis. You go for a physical and you learn about yourself, so you know what you need to work on the year ahead. This is the time of year that we go not for a physical, but we go for a spiritual. We go for a spiritual. And if a physical looks at your cholesterol, your blood pressure, your sugar level, your cardiovascular system, whatever, there's a checklist that the doctor goes through to review your physical, then there's also a check-in for your spiritual. We should all undergo a spiritual. The physical you don't give to yourself, you go to a doctor. And the spiritual, it's hard to give yourself. You don't have to go to the rabbi, but someone you love and trust in your life to undergo a spiritual. The spiritual is, how's my davening? How are my brachas? How's my ben adon l'chavero? How's my chesed? What are the contributors to assessing how am I doing spiritually? How's my neshama? It's brought down that in Kelm, a person would walk in to find someone else in the street in Kelm in the month of Elul, and you'd say, Ma neshma, how are you? And they would understand not Ma neshma, but Ma neshama. How is your neshama? And the person would answer, and what they were really asking is, are you a ben aliyah or a ben yerida? Are you on the way up or on your way down? And the person would answer, I'm working on my kavana or my yira shemayim. What do you mean? Can you imagine you run into someone in Boca in the supermarket in Elul? Hey, how are you? How am I? My yira shemayim is getting there. I'm working on it. But that's in Kelm. The understood language of the month of Elul of how are you was not how are you, but how is your neshama? Are you going up or are you going down? Are you a ben aliyah or are you a ben yerida? So this is that time of year where we're taking a spiritual. We are assessing, how's my davening? How are my brachas? How's my chesed? How am I? How's my neshama? I like to do that. I speak to people always and I'll say, how you doing? They tell me. I say, that's nice. You just told me everything about your guf. How's everything? Well, in business I'm killing it, and I lost 20 pounds, and I went on a vacation, and I this. I said, that's nice. How's your neshama? How's your neshama? Yeah. No, often the answer is, neshama? What's that? Where is that? What is that? Right? So how's your neshama? How's your neshama? That's the question we're supposed to ask ourselves this time of year. How's my neshama doing? I nourish the body. What am I doing to nourish the soul? I try to keep the body healthy. I work out the body. What am I doing to work out the soul? How's the neshama? The ani ledodi. How's my ani? The pasuk says that we are not to emulate. We're not to walk in the ways of the Egyptians, of the Canaanites. Hashem says when you get to that land, don't walk like an Egyptian. So why is the Torah saying don't walk like an Egyptian? Why does it just say, these are the Isurim? Don't eat non-kosher, don't violate Shabbos, don't cheat, don't be dishonest. Why do I have to say on top of that, this umbrella, generic, also don't walk like an Egyptian? Just tell me what's halacha, mutter and asr, what's permissible, what's forbidden. What is being added by saying don't walk like an Egyptian? Because what the Torah is telling us, as the Salon Rebbe, is that not only the things that are forbidden you shouldn't do, but the things that are going to detract from your relationship you shouldn't do. Again, come back to the metaphor of our relationships, because that's what our relationship with Hashem is built on. We're in a relationship. That is the purpose of this year, Emunah. It's what we talk about, our little support group every week, is that we're in a relationship. How are we doing? This is group therapy for our marriage to Hashem. How is our marriage? What's going well? What's not? What do we need to work on? How can we become more selfless? How do we nullify our ani lidodi? So says the Son of Rebbe, in marriage, in relationship, in friendship, in parenting, in every area of life, in relationships, there are the things that are positive contributors to the relationship. There are the things that are disasters for the relationship, and there's a middle category. They're not technically wrong, but you know that it's not good for your relationship. It's not good for your relationship, right? So it's not technically, you haven't violated the relationship, you haven't violated the other person, categorically, but it doesn't nurture the relationship. That's what Hashem is saying. Kemaisa Eretz Mitzrayim, Kemaisa Canaan. The things that, they're not going to nurture your relationship with me. It's not mutter, it's not asr. It's not permissible, it's not forbidden, it's not a mitzvah, it's not forbidden, but it's not going to nurture the relationship. It doesn't bring you closer to me. Avoid that too. HaMitzri kol mashu osa la'atzmo. The Egyptian mentality, the Egyptian culture was to be in it for themselves. Everything we do, it's for me. Satisfy my appetite, my pleasure, my need, my want. Aval Yehudi, but a Jew, HaKadosh Baruch Hu bachar b'lios ben la'am nivchar tzarech la'asas hakol Hashem yisbarach. The Jew doesn't ask, what do I want? What's in it for me? The Jew asks, what does Hashem want from me right now? And what's in it for God? So every choice. Where should I go on vacation? What should I say? What should I do? How do I react? Do I take this job? Do I do this thing? The question is always, what will give nachas ruach to Hashem? What does Hashem want from me right now? Not what's for me. Well, what will get me the most likes and follows? What will give me the greatest honor? What will make me the most money? What will give me the great... We live in a world that says, what will make you the happiest? You deserve to be happy. So what will make you the happiest? Who says happiness is a value? Who says happiness is a value? What's his name? The New York Times op-ed author wrote a book about character, The Road to Character. And in it he says, we don't live for happiness, we live for holiness. We don't live for happiness, we live for holiness. That's so true. Who says you live for happiness? It's nice to be happy, don't get me wrong. When you have holiness, that actually makes you happy. But we don't live for happiness, we live for holiness. So the world we live in says, every decision, every action, every expenditure, everything you're about to do, ask yourself, will it make me happy? You deserve to be happy. You deserve happiness. Will it make you happy? Who says we live for happiness? We don't live for happiness. We live for holiness. We don't live for happiness, we live for holiness. So the Mitzri, what God was saying is, don't be like a Mitzri. Don't walk like an Egyptian. The Egyptian, and you can argue the secular American, the secular Westerner says, what gives me pleasure? What makes me happy? Will this make me happy? The Jew doesn't say, will this make me happy? The Jew says, will this make me holy? The Jew says, what does Hashem want from me right now? Will this give nachas ruach to Hashem? Will this make Hashem proud? That's the question we ask ourselves. And this is the commandment for the very existence of a meaningful life. That the Torah wants our lives to be different than everyone else's. Don't just avoid that which is prohibited. Even a mitzvah, you could do a mitzvah like an Egyptian, or you could do a mitzvah like a Jew. What does he mean? You could do a mitzvah like an Egyptian, you could do a mitzvah like a Jew. When I do a mitzvah, I'm davening with a lot of kavanah, I'm shuckling back and forth. I donate a large amount to tzedakah. If I'm doing it for my sense of self, if I'm doing it for my ego, I want to be known as having the longest Shemona Esrei in the shul. I want my name in lights for giving the most amount of tzedakah. I want to have the most amount of followers. I want to be admired and revered. Then I'm doing a mitzvah like an Egyptian. It's all about me. But if I do a mitzvah because I say my purpose in being here is to serve Hashem, to repair His world. I am here to fulfill His goal for me. I'm here to serve Him. I'm doing a mitzvah not for me, but for Him. I do it with humility. Nobody even needs to know about it. So then, I'm doing a mitzvah like a Jew. You could do a mitzvah like an Egyptian, you could do a mitzvah like a Jew. How do you bring a person from his corner in his life? Perish l'cha Hashem. You'll never say this pasuk again when you take out the Torah the same way. V'anis filasi l'cha Hashem es ratzon elakim b'rav chasdecha aneni be'emes yeshecha. What are we saying? V'anis filasi l'cha Hashem. Perish l'cha Hashem. Liosbata legamrei l'cha Hashem. V'ani, my ani, tfilasi. As regarding my ani, v'ani. Regarding my sense of self, tfilasi, my prayer is l'cha Hashem, that I can give it to you. Oh, wow, what a great shot. V'ani, my sense of ani, my sense of self, tfilasi, my prayer regarding my sense of self is that l'cha Hashem, that I can devote it to you. Because every day I'm battling. There's a piece of me that wants to serve my ego. There's a piece of me that wants to serve you. There's a piece of me that wants to make me happy. There's a piece of me that wants to make you happy. Va'ani, sfilasi, my prayer regarding my ani is l'cha Hashem, that I can devote it and give it and be mevatel it to you. B'chol davar tia machshavaso, ha'im ze l'ratzon Hashem o she'ein ze l'ratzono, v'yakulo bato ka'ayin ve'efes l'Hashem yisbarach. That I have zero sense of self. I have no ego intertwined. It's all about you. It's all about... This is not just a Jewish idea. There's a book by Jim Collins called Good to Great, where he studied successful companies, and he identified 5 hallmarks of a great leader. The 5 hallmarks of a great leader. Not just good, how do you go from good to great? As a person, how do you go from good to great in leadership? And level number 1 of leadership, Jim Collins says, is when it's not about you, it's about the cause. The best leader is not about how their name can be the brand, how their name is synonymous with the brand or the company, but they put the company and the brand ahead of themselves. It's success ahead of their own name and ego. That's level 1 leadership. Not from a religious perspective, but even in general. So that's exactly what we're saying here, is to be mevatel, ayin ve'ef, is my ani. No, it's about the cause. I'm part of the cause. I'm part of the mission. I'm part of the brand called Torah. My name is secondary. My ego is not even secondary. It's ayin ve'efes. It's non-existence. Va'ani, sfilasi, my prayer is l'cha Hashem. That every choice, every behavior, every action that I make, v'chein nichla b'lecha Hashem sheyeh davak l'Hashem v'lo yas Hashem davar neged ratzon yisbarach ha'mekalklas advekas b'Hashem yisbarach. So my mission and goal is that it's all to you, Hashem, and nothing that is in conflict, nothing that is driven by my sense of ego, my sense of me. He has not yet answered, we'll do this next week, Mirz Hashem, he's not yet answered why the shift from Hashem to Elokim. Why did we change? Which he'll get to now, but he's explaining, Ani l'dodi v'dodi li. This is a romantic time. We're courting, we're falling in love with Hashem all over again. And just like a couple, and hopefully we have the nostalgia in our own relationships, that we can remember that when we were falling in love, all we could think about was the other. And all we cared about was the other person's happiness. And we put them at the center of our circle. That's when we were early on in our courtship and in our relationship, that's all we could think about. And we were just longing to be together and distracted throughout the day by the thought of that person. So that's Elul. Ani l'dodi v'dodi li. Hashem is the center of our circle. We're falling in love all over again. Lebedik and weiter lebedik. We're alive. We're vibrant. Our relationship is electric again, as opposed to it being on life support sometimes throughout the rest of the year. Yes.